Hello there and welcome to the new data analytics case study tutorial. And this case study, as you can see, is about the Amazon Prime Video and all the movies and the different series that has been released on the Amazon Prime. I will just going to give you certain questions around that, which will be related to data cleansing, data exploration to better understand this data set. So this case study is about all about exploring data, and you can choose the tool of your choice. For example, if you are expert in, or if you are learning, let's say Python or R, Tableau, Power BI, ClickView, ClickSense, anything that you are learning, you can use this, because this is a generic case study. I have tried to keep it for anyone who is using the tool of their choice. Also, in the description, you can find my previous case studies, both solved and unsolved, which is very similar to this. So if you have never solved any case study or looking for some help, you can look at those videos where you will find many solved and as well as unsolved case studies like this one, where you can practice your skills by utilizing the relevant techniques from your tool or programming language that you are using. Apart from this, you have the links for various tools on which I have given the tutorial. So if you are trying to learn something new, then you can look for those tutorials where I have more than 100 tutorials almost in every section for learning about how to use a tool, how to do data analysis, data exploration within that tool. All right, so that's about the tool choice of a tool and learning about the stuff. But let's come back to this data exploration case study, where I want you to practice your data exploration, data analysis skills. All right, so what do we have as a data set? Let me show it to you here. So over here, you see that you have this multiple columns. First of all, the file name is Amazon Prime Titles, and you find it using the link which is present in the description. So dataset link is present there. It will be saved as the Amazon Prime Titles. So make sure you remember that, because many times I have seen that people are not viewing this title, and that is basically causing some concerns in terms of identifying what data set to use, because I have used many data sets. All right, so Amazon Prime Titles is your data set, and you have, as you can see, whether something is a TV show or a movie, right? So that's basically what we have as a two categories. And then we have the title. What is a movie, then what is a title, like The Grand Seduction. And you have this another movie which is Take Care Good Night. You have a TV show which is Zoo Babies, another TV show Zoo Zombie. Looks like Zombie is quite famous or quite interesting, which is frequently being created. But apart from that, as you can see, you have many other different titles. Who is the director, right? So another good dimension, who is directing it? What is the cast for this particular movie or TV show? I think these are like the main cast members. What is the country in which this was created, or I believe for the audience in which it was created? So what is a movie, in which country it was created, TV show, and in some cases you can see you have some missing values. So another interesting thing when it comes to the real life data set, that you have a lot of missing values. Similarly over here, right? So date added, on which date it was added to Amazon Prime, but what is the released year, right? So released year is basically in which it was released. So it was released in 2014, but the date it was added is in 30th March 2021. That means almost after 7 years, right? So what is the rating? Again, you see that there are missing values. You have duration, 113 minutes, 74 minutes, and season, like in case of a TV show, you have seasons. Then you have listed in, so this is genre, like whether it is comedy, drama, international, action, documentary, so on and so forth, and a quick description about this particular movie or or TV show, right? So that's the detail what we have, and as you can see, there are some consistent values, there are some missing values. So overall makes a good data set to work on, right? So let's go ahead and see some of the questions that is related to this data set. Okay, so the very first and obvious question is import the data set into the system. So based on whatever tool or programming language that you are using, the first thing you need to do is import this data set. And before importing this data set, I will just advise you that you look for the format of this data set. For example, if you see this particular data set is the CSV file, right? So in case of a CSV file, you have different function. In case of a Excel file or a normal spreadsheet file, you have a different functions, right? So that's something you need to take care when you are importing it. Otherwise, you will face issues. And that's also a part of a learning, that you need to know what you are importing, and accordingly you choose the right function or the right functionality. Now, the second thing is show how many rows and columns are present. Now, why this question is important is because you need to know what you are dealing with, right? At a high level, you should know that you have, let's say, 10 columns, 5,000 rows, or let's say 100 columns, and 100,000 rows. And the reason for knowing about this information is that if we don't know about this, we may run, let's say, certain functions or certain functionality which will take a lot of time when you process the data. So if the data set is small, you can run almost any function. But if the data set is huge, then you need to be really aware that if you apply any function which is data intensive or it requires a large processing, then your file may get hang or your system may get hang and you may probably lose the work. So that's why it's always important that you need to know, or you make sure that you know how many rows and columns are present. After that, what you need to know is what is the data type of each column. Now you have different data types. As if you see, you have show ID, which is alphanumeric. You have type, which is textual information. But if you will see a little bit in depth, you will see that it is two different categories. So it's a categorical column, right? So it has to be something which is defined as a categorical column. Similarly, title, this is different for almost each row, and that's why it will be a textual column but not category. But director can be categorical column because you may have one director creating multiple movies and all, so that way you can do some analysis. So if you have categorical column which is a textual column and the values are being repeated, then it can work as a dimension, and on which you can plot the numerical information like duration and all. So you have the another column which is date column, and date is a different format, right? Similarly, release year is also a date format. By default, your system will consider this as numeric column, but you need to make sure that it should consider it as a date. Otherwise, you won't be able to apply date related functions. Similarly, duration, if you will see, what you need to do with the duration is one data cleaning operation, which I have as a question. I will show you, but what it is basically saying that you have minute and you have season in case of a TV show. So this information needs to be separated, right? Otherwise, if you need to combine, let's say for one particular director, which is Dawn in this case, like on an average, what is the duration of the movie which Dawn creates? Just to basically understand the, let's say if there is a very famous director, or if there is a director who is not producing really good movies, then you may probably want to know what really is the difference, or how good movies or good director different from the bad directors or directors who don't have a hit movies, something like this. So that's why having this information extracted and properly presented is important. Similarly, you have listed in, which is categorical, and description is what textual information. So you need to be able to interpret each and every column like I just did, so that by doing this step, you will be able to have almost like 70 to 80% of a good information about the data set that you are dealing with. Okay. Now, if data type is different than expected, then change it. For example, if it is integer is present as object or text, then change it to integer. So like I said, an example, which is release year. So release year, the system will be considered as numeric, because if you will see, this is all numeric. You need to convert it into a data type, right? Data type. So that's something I wanted to show you. All right, let's move on to the next question. So the next question is there any missing values in the data set? So yes, there are missing values in the data set, but what you need to show is the overall count. So that's basically is over here. Show the missing values in each column. So over here in the first step, the fifth step, what you need to know, what you need to do is you need to look at the entire data set and basically see how many missing values are there, right? That's what it is basically asking in the fifth step. Then what it is showing you in the, or asking you in the step 6 is you show the missing values in each column. So for example, how many missing values you have here, how many missing values you have here, here, right? How many missing values you have, what is the count, and what is their percentage. So that's what the column number 6 is showing. So what I will do is, at least in Python, I have created a series where you can find the missing values with the ready-made code. So I will put that series in the description. Also, I published a book over there, so that's something can be helpful for you. Okay, next is divide the column duration into duration movie, duration season. So that's something I showed you when I was explaining it, column, the point number 3. But let's go back, duration movie. So duration is here. First thing first, you need to do is you need to separate this season from this minute, or from the movie. You need to separate the TV shows, right? So duration movie, duration season, or TV show, whatever you feel like. So that's something you need to create 2 columns out of it. So if it is, let's say, ending with minute, then create 1 column, else create season column, season or seasons, as you can see. So that's something you need to take care if you are finding any inconsistency like season and seasons. Since there is just 1 season, so it's singular. Otherwise, if there are multiple seasons like 3, it's plural. Okay, so that's 2 columns you need to create. It's what generally it is called is the feature engineering. That means creating more columns from the existing column. Now next thing is divide the column listed underscore in by comma into genre 1, genre 2. So over here, if I come here in the TV shows, sorry, listed in, you have comedy and drama. So basically it should create 2 columns. But if you have 3 values, action, drama, and suspense, then it should create 3 columns like genre 1, 2, and 3. That's what you need to do. So again, slightly a little bit more on the feature engineering to do the data exploration later. Then what is the time period range of this data set? So this is something, and the hint is basically the release year. So the time period range is the keyword. So let's go to the release year. So that's basically is telling you what is the first, identify the minimum value and the maximum value and subtract the minimum value from maximum value. That will basically going to show whether the time period range what we are showing, let's say TV movies and TV shows, is of 10-year range, 20-year range, 50-year range, 100-year range. What is the range that we are dealing with? Why this is important is just, let's say, in case, you know, once someone is coming to you and asking you, hey, can you provide the insights you know, from the last 10 years, then you should know what your data set is representing. And if you need to make a subset of data set, then you can basically create a subset of those the range of 10 years and show it to your end user. So that's why knowing the range that you are dealing with is important, and that's why I put it this question. All right, the next question is how many movies and TV shows are present? Show both count and percentage. So it will show from via this particular column. So you need to show how many movies and how many TV shows are present. their count and along with their percentage. So this will show the proportion, and this information is useful to basically understand whether on Amazon Prime you are having more TV shows or more TV shows or more movies, right? Another way you can deal with this, let's say first you identify this additional question, you can probably answer, let's say in last 10 years, whether the number has significantly changed. For example, if you have if you have identified this, you plot this over a time dimension like release year, or maybe over here date added, but date added is having the missing values, right? So what you can basically see, maybe based on, let's say, release year, which probably is not so much of a right reason for this, is the release year is related to this movie, right? So date added is probably the better column, and here in this case what we may need to do is identify what do we need to do with the missing values, right? So whether we need to keep the missing values, import, add, or what do we need to do. But date added is important because that will going to tell us, looking at the year, whether this is something added over a period of time, more TV shows are being added or more movies are being added. So you can, after 10, you may take the question 10A, that over a period of time the percentage is increasing or decreasing. Let's say, for example, if TV shows 10 years back was 2% and now it is increasing to 5% or 10%, something like that. But if this data set is not allowing you to do this, then you may probably leave it, right? However, what you can do is, based on the release year, you can basically see over a period of time, are more TV shows are being released or more movies are being released. That's alternate dimension or alternate way of answering the similar question. So just because the data set sometimes may have the limitation like the missing values, or it only have 2 years worth of data, let's say for example, or 1 year worth of data, then in that case we do a workaround based on the release year, and we see that over a period of time, based on the release year, are you releasing more TV shows or more movies? Okay, let's move on to the next one. What type of movies are mostly present based on genre 1? So earlier, if you remember, we created multiple columns like genre 1, genre 2, 3 and all, by dividing these columns using the comma. So what type of movies are mostly present based on the genre 1, whether they are comedy movies, drama movies, action movies, documentary, drama, fantasy, documentary, comedy. As you can see, the values are being repeated. So which type of movies that is based on the genre 1 is mostly there? The next question is, what type of TV shows are present based on the genre 1? So again, very similar to this. So you can do sort of a comparison, right? And in certain cases, what you can do is you can use this movie type for this question 11 and 12 and basically compare side by side, right? Whether for the genre 1, the first genre category, whether you have the movie or TV show. So 11 and 12 will be answered with just one single chart, and that will be much more effective because it will show the comparison. Okay, the next question is, clean the new duration columns and remove minimum and season from numbers. So very important, like I was earlier mentioning, that you need to remove the min and season. So earlier we created the 2 different columns, if you remember. So from the duration 1 column you remove or duration movie column you remove the min, and from duration season column you remove the season. That way we can do the calculation of these values, aggregation, average, whatever we want to do very easily. Okay, what's the next question? What is the average time of movie by genre 1? Okay, so we are moving into a little bit complexity. Now if you see, we are taking three different things. We taking time, movie and genre. So based on movie and genre, you need to take the duration to basically calculate what is the average time of movie by genre. Similarly, what is the average seasons of TV show by genre 1? Okay, so this is very similar to this. Like I said, for question 11 and 12, this you can even plot it on the column. But the only thing is, Here you have two different columns. Time is present in one column and season is present on another column based on what we did earlier to create this column. Highest movies and TV shows by directors. That means you need to take a count of movies and TV shows and plot it based on the director. That will show the highest movies and TV shows by director. Then you have which type of genre generally have highest and smallest duration in both movies and TV shows. So again, we are doing sort of a comparison where what type of genre generally have the highest. So you have like multiple genres. You have comedy, drama, drama international, and so on and so forth. You may have to basically plot it multiple times for these genres, type of movie and duration, and that way you will be able to see what type of genre generally have highest and smallest duration in both movies and TV shows. Each year, how many movies and TV shows released? So again, this is based on the released year, and you need to take the count of movies and TV show that will going to give you the information back. Next is what type of genre one released more. What type of genre one released more each year? That means whether the comedy was releasing more, the drama was releasing more. So here I have not given the type. So first you can look at overall. Then if you want to take a subset of this question, do it by movie and type. That for genre 1, are we releasing more movies over a period of year or period of time, or TV shows over a period of time? I think same thing which I was explaining earlier, I think question number 9 or 10. How many kid movies and TV shows are released each year? So you have kids movies and all. So you need to basically find from here. You have this kids movies, you have this kids movies, right? So how fantasy kids. So how many kids movies are being released? So kids, you need to take whether it is present in genre 1, 2, 3, wherever it is present, like here in this case genre 1. So take kids and then see movies, look at by release year and give us a count, right? Final question is, are you seeing a trend change in genre 1 based on movies and TV shows released is here? So what does this mean? Over a period of time, are the drama movies releasing more or less, right? Or the comedy movies are being released more or less? So what you need to show is, you have like multiple genres. In genre 1, you have release year and you have movies, and you need to show basically whether movies or TV shows are what type is basically being released more or less based on movies and TV shows. Are you seeing a trend change in genre 1 based on movies? So how we can limit this is based on the genre 1, are you releasing more TV shows or more movies? I think that's way we can answer this. If you want to go a little bit more in depth, you can take each genre also in consideration and see what type of genres what type of genres the TV show or movie is being released each year as a subset of this question or an additional question. So that's what it happens generally in the data analysis. First we look at a highest level number, like how many movies you have released so far, but then we want to see the trend, whether it is an inclining trend or declining trend. That basically gives an idea. For example, let's say you are working for a movie production house and you have this data set of Amazon Prime, and you have been asked what type of movie will be benefited based on the trend that is going on. If this is a very high level question, you need to do all of this analysis to basically answer that question. Or you can actually take this question, what recommendation you will give based on this data set. Let's say if a director or a producer has to plan a movie, then how will they basically decide based on the trend that is currently going on, or the trend that is shifting for movies. So if you can answer this question, probably production house will going to have a huge benefit based on the data analytics, and hopefully you will going to get the bonus as well. So yeah, let me know what you can figure it out based on the final question I mentioned, not based on this, but based on what I just said, like what movie or what TV show you will going to recommend based on this data set that is something you will recommend to your producer or director or your production house. So with that, I hope you have enjoyed this case study, and you have practiced a lot your skills, and hopefully you are able to come up with the answer about your recommendation. So that's about it, and now I will meet you in the next video with a new case study.